I have a small confession to make. I started my YouTube channel back in 2015, partly because I kind of wanted to flex my Acura NSX. Almost 6 years later, I've reviewed over 115 cars and counting, but I want to take you guys back to where it all started. It was the summer of 2015, and I had just finished my second ever track day in my first Honda S2000. I absolutely loved that car, but was kind of itching to upgrade to a different platform. So I made a post on the S2KI forums, and a gentleman named Hugo replied with an offer to let me drive his NSX in Los Angeles. Obviously, I took him up on his offer, and the rest is history. I was so blown away after just a few minutes behind the wheel that a week later I sold my beloved AP2 and bought an NSX of my own. To this day, Hugo's NSX is the highest rated car in my Zygrene Performance Index. But I've driven countless amazing driver's cars since then, so it's entirely possible that my perception is skewed. So today I'm getting back in the driver's seat of Hugo's Grand Prix White NSX to find out if I've been seen through rose-tinted glasses this entire time.
Alright guys, so familiar face here, Hugo. This is his white 1992 Acura NSX, converted to look like an NSX Type R. This is where it all started. If it weren't for this guy and his generosity, I probably would not have my YouTube channel right now. The NSX is the halo car, right? It's the best, most prestigious driver's car that Honda has ever made. And at the time I had never driven one, and so I went on the S2KI forums and made a post asking if any S2000 owners have had experience with the NSX and what it feels like, if it's worth upgrading from the S2000. Hugo replied on that post saying, "Hey, I'm down in Los Angeles. If you ever like to drive my car and you're in the area, just hit me up." Obviously, I did just that. I made a trip down to LA, and it completely changed my life. I realized that this is my dream car. It has been my dream car for a long time, and driving it just solidified that fact for me. Your generosity really sparked the fire that enabled me to grow the channel into what it is now.
I'm glad it worked.
And so today we're revisiting his car. He's made a few changes since the last time I drove it. Why don't you walk me through just some of the key mods on this thing?
Since last time we have talked, I can't believe it's almost 5 years already. I haven't done really much modification since then. Most of the things I've done are maintenance, the timing belts, all the cooling hose. I got a quieter exhaust because it makes me enjoy the car more now. Maybe I got older.
We all have.
I raised the car back into a little lower than stock height, so it's easier to get in and out. Who would have thought that would make me enjoy the car more?
Right.
And I got new clear tints, which I enjoy the clear tints more than the dark tint. And the shift knob.
Instead of having it just slam, super aggressive, stiff, it's more of a car that you can just take out on the back road and just enjoy on the weekend, right?
Right.
You said you have a Pro Speed tune on it with RDX injectors and some bolt-ons and things, and you're still running the JRZ RS coilovers, two-way adjustable coilovers. You got the JDM short 5-gear gear set with the JDM final drive, June lightweight flywheel, which makes it a lot more responsive, easy to heel toe. You told me you actually weighed this car with you in it. You said 2,700 something pounds?
Yeah, 2,792.
That's incredibly light.
I'm pretty light, so.
Sure, I mean, still, it's a 2,700-ish pound car. Gotta love that VTEC. Easy to heel toe. A light flywheel makes all the difference in the world. This is how an NSX is supposed to handle. Makes mine feel like an absolute boat. Still one of the best shifters in the world. I think the S2000 shifter is still my favorite in terms of the click-click feel. The S2000 shifter would be like this right now. This is just a much more solid feeling shifter. Although I'm probably never going to have the privilege of driving a true NSXR, this is everything I imagine the NSXR to feel like. With the exception of, so I've driven an NSX that had the true JDM NSXR suspension once. Oh my God, that thing is stiff. On the canyons, it's very difficult to handle. The JRZ RS, I think, is the perfect suspension for this car. I love the fact that you raised up the height and soften the dampening. It really gives the car an OEM Plus kind of feel. It doesn't feel like a tuner car. It feels really well composed, no problems going over the bumps, perfect ride comfort. I'm really surprised that this car is sub 2,700 pounds, because there's no difference in terms of refinement compared to my car. The noise isolation, there's very little sound, squeaks and rattles inside the cabin. I don't understand how you lost so much weight in this car, but I can feel it in the corners.
I was surprised when I weighed it. I was like, wow, okay.
The steering feels lighter than mine too. That's crucial. I have the same exact steering wheel.
Does it feel lighter?
It does feel lighter, yeah. My car is a real handful to get turned in the corner, and there's so much more body roll as well. So much steering feel, I love it. You know, I just drove a Lotus Exige not long ago, and that's the best steering car I've ever experienced. This is pretty close. Oh my gosh, it's just so fun.
That was fun.
Yeah, this car is so good. Driving this car really makes me want to go home and just replicate all the mods you did on this thing. This is how an NSX-R should feel from the factory, I think. So I would love to hear from you. Why did you buy this car originally? I know, everyone knows my story. What's your story with this car?
I had an NSX poster, and it's kind of cringy, but yeah, my cousin also have an NSX poster. One day I asked him what car that is. He said NSX. Never heard of it.
Yeah.
And I started with the Integra. So my next car was a S2000. So I guess I'm a little Honda biased.
A logical
a logical upgrade.
Yeah.
So I sold my S2000 for this car. I would love to keep my S2000, but that was the only way I could get this car.
Sure. Very similar story to me. I mean, my very first car was a 97 Civic LX. It was just an automatic, whatever. But then when I really got into cars and modifying cars and driving, S2000 was always my halo car, so I got that. The rest of the story is what it is. I mean, you let me drive your car, your NSX, and I realized that's the car I want, the NSX. It just all made sense. The step-by-step progression for most Honda enthusiasts who have the ability to step up to one of these cars really never look back. A lot of Honda enthusiasts, once they get the NSX, they miss the S2000, so they end up getting another S2000. But they don't sell this to get the S2000. It's really two cars you need to have in the garage side by side.
Right.
Unfortunately, I'm no longer there because I don't have an S2000, but someday.
Someday, yes. Last year I just sold for 112.
That's a good point. These cars are still going up in value. All the classic tuner VTEC Hondas, they're skyrocketing. A clean S2000, a really clean one nowadays, 20 grand is your entry price for that. NSX, 5 years ago, you could still maybe find one for 35. Nowadays, you're looking at 50 minimum. It really shows that these cars are sort of the last of an era for Honda. We have the Civic Type R now, the FK8. We have the NC1 NSX. I love both cars, but the move to turbo, all-wheel drive, electric assist in the NSX, it completely changes the driving experience. Very enjoyable still, but if you want a pure, raw, lightweight experience, this is the absolute pinnacle, I think, of Honda engineering. I think the way you have the car set up now, I enjoyed a lot more than the last time I drove it. Last time you had the Tytech exhaust, which sounds great at wide open throttle, but I think when I'm just trying to enjoy the drive and not really make a whole lot of fuss about it, this is the way to go. Something that has good induction noise, but doesn't sound too loud.
Sometimes I go through phases, I want a loud exhaust.
Yeah.
But most of the time, it's more enjoyable because I can go full throttle without disturbing other people.
Exactly. I think part of that comes with age. We're both in our 30s now. We're not trying to light up the canyons with the sound of our roaring VTEC at 8,000 RPMs anymore. I kind of wish I had gone a similar route with my NSX because I have the Pride RFL, the really effing loud exhaust. Sometimes I wish I could just focus on the driving experience for me and not for anyone else. If there's one thing I would say that would improve this car even more, just a slightly more aggressive pad. will just give me that extra bite I'm looking for. Man, the view out the front is so perfect. It beats every other car I've ever driven. When I sit in this car and I'm attacking the road, it almost feels like I don't even see a car around me. All I'm seeing is the road, focusing on the road ahead. Yeah, I was just talking to Johnny earlier. We were talking about, what it means to own your dream car. And I was telling him how lately I've been thinking about, it would just make more logical sense if I sold my NSX and got something that really fits my needs more, like a track car, daily, and all that stuff. But then he really talked me out of it. He was like, well, what other car would you get that makes you feel the same way that you feel when you drive your NSX? And I said, nothing. And he's like, well, there's your answer. And yeah, it's not a logical thing. It's purely emotional. But I mean, for car enthusiasts, why would we have to be logical, right? And I think driving this car just reaffirmed the fact that why would I want to sell the NSX when it makes me so happy, right?
Right.
This is a hobby that doesn't make any sense on paper. It's expensive, time consuming. If you work on your own car, you get your hands, oily all the time. Like, it's a pain in the ass to the average person. But for us, for you and me, and for other car enthusiasts out there, none of that matters once you get behind the wheel of your dream car that, you customize to fit your needs, get it on a back road, and just enjoy the drive. And I think that's really all there is to it.
Yeah, I love this car throughout my 12 years of ownership. I almost sold the car 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm. I tried to talk you out of it, remember?
Yes, you did. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I think I will always keep this car. And I think the downside is that for keeping this car so long, I missed the opportunities of trying other cars.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's always pros and cons.
Yeah.
But right now, I think I would keep this car for now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think to some extent you should go out there and try to experience as much breadth as possible instead of just depth in terms of just sticking with one car. But I think there's a fine balance. And for me, the NSX will always be that depth element. Like, I want to grow with the car. As I age, I want to learn more about the car. I want to get better at driving it, modify it to fit my needs, learn how to work on it. And it's a time capsule, and I want to be part of that experience. Thanks again for letting me drive this thing.
Thanks for coming down here and visit.
Yeah, of course. My pleasure. I mean, this is where the YouTube channel started, honestly, so it's a privilege to be back here once again.